I'll let you in on a little secret. You don't need expensive tech or fancy gear to start YouTubing. I'm gonna share some super simple video types that you can make today. They're easy to put together and viewers love them. I'm so excited. Let's dive in. Hey there, I'm Paige Turner. Welcome to the channel. Today's topic hits close to home for me because one of the big reasons I waited so long to do YouTube in the first place is that I thought you needed a lot of fancy filming gear and a lot of tech know-how to do it. Turns out, not so, not even a little. You can do it! Before we jump in, I want to give a quick shout out to the amazing Kevin Colby. He made a great video on this topic that really inspired me. I'll link in the description. It really made me feel seen because we're doing a lot of the same stuff and I have some ideas of my own to add to the mix. But Kevin and I were in total agreement on the first one, and that's the good old talking head video, which, spoiler alert, is exactly what you're watching right now. In industry terms, a talking head is when somebody speaks directly into the camera, usually framed from chest or waist up. It's direct, personal, and incredibly effective. It's super effective. So the big thing with a talking head, there are two components here, okay? Whenever you're doing YouTube, the most important thing is actually audio, not video. I know, people are like, but it's called video. Here's the thing. Listening to a video that has horrible sound quality is actually quite a bit more annoying than watching a video where the video quality is meh. For some reason, audio quality grates on us a lot more than what we can see visually. Now, the nice thing is that your cell phones nowadays have really good mics in them, and they're quite a bit better than the old microphones used to be for recording. But if you want something a little better, there are plenty of cheap microphones that are under certain price points. I'll put them in the description so you can check them out. There are tons of really good ones. I actually use something a little bit above basic, but it's not too crazy. I actually use this DJI microphone. This is a lav clip-on mic that I have. I actually have a set of two that I can show you guys. The reason I have this is because on my other channel, Our Moving Castle, I work with a co-host, my husband actually, and sometimes we'll be in talking heads. It helps us to have our own lavalier mics. If you're just doing it by yourself, you don't need to do all this. This was a little expensive. The other thing is we were living and traveling in an RV, so we wanted something that was tough and small, but this cost me a couple hundred for the two mics. Really, you don't have to spend more than, even like a $20 mic a lot of times will be really good. They're really great ones, $50, $100, so I'll link them below. The other thing you're gonna run into with a talking head is lighting, okay? So what I'm using right now is, I will actually show you in some photos, I have a window right over there. That's natural light coming in on this side. And then I have a ring light that's kind of this way, right there to the camera. I will show you some photos and video of that so you can see what I'm doing right now. That's lighting me pretty well in my office. I will link the actual lights, the set lights I use in my videos. They're from GVM. They were actually things my husband said that I should start using now that I've been monetized. I didn't have any of that before I was monetized. What I would do a lot of times is I would shoot outside in the shade. So I would be in the shade and I would be under a tree or like my RV awning or something, and I'd have the light all around me. So that's really good. Outdoor lighting can be really good as long as you're not too washed out. The other thing that I found was really simple, and this is probably a lot more feasible, is shooting in your car. Your car is really good lighting. I'll actually show you just one of the shots of me in the Jeep. A car is really great. It's kind of a photo booth. It's also small. It helps with the sound. It helps with echo. So honestly, if you want to sit in a car with your cell phone, that works really good. There's really good mounts where you can mount it up on the windowsill, that sort of thing. So you really don't need that much for a good talking head to have it be well lit and well microphoned. I spent a little time on that. That's a little granular because I wanted to kind of go into more detail on some of the practical things I wish I'd known. And talking head can be the backbone of your channel. I tend to use a lot of talking head and then B-roll. Actually did a video all about sources of cheap or free B-roll that I will link if you want. It's funny B-roll, instructive B-roll. It's really cool. Just different strategies on B-roll. That's when I cut in with the images, okay? That's one. The next one is tutorial and how-to videos. So I do some of these here and there on this channel, But basically what you do there is you have some kind of screen capture or screen recording software. On the computer, I'll often use OBS, which is a live stream software, but it works really great for just recording a window as well. I've done whole videos where I'm using that. It kind of grabs what you got there. That's good. On your cell phone, so I have a Google Pixel phone. It's literally on the menu. You can just pick screen record, it'll start recording. That's really simple. It's pretty low tech, pretty easy. It's free. A lot of laptops come with webcams. So that's pretty simple, pretty easy. OBS can have a little bit of a learning curve, but the nice thing is there are tons of videos on YouTube. You just Google, you can Google answers. It's so well documented. It's so widely used by streamers that there's tons of information, and I'm not the techiest person in the world. I spent a couple hours and I had it down. So if I can do it, so can you. I'm not terribly techie. Ask my husband. All right, so the next one are Q&A videos. So we talked a little bit about the talking head, how that's a good format. Now the question is, what sorts of things are good for talking head, right? Or how can we get some ideas? Well, one thing that can be really good is Q&A videos. These are super easy to make. So in this one, you take your audience questions and you answer them on camera. This is especially good if you've gotten a bunch that are thought-provoking, but maybe not enough to do a whole video all at once, or if you're just getting ones that they're kind of outside of your niche. I actually got one that was like, hey, why do you always wear that shirt? We'll still recognize you without it, something like that. I can put it on screen. I really had a really good time with this exchange. It went very well. This is actually a dress, and I really like the dress. I'm not just wearing it because I want you guys to recognize me. I know you'll recognize me. On my other channel, Nerdonomic, I almost never wear this dress. It's in some of my thumbnails because I've reused some of the thumbnail shots here for Nerdonomic, but I almost never wear it on the Nerdonomic channel. I like this dress. It's very comfortable. I think I originally started wearing this dress because I was filming outside. Yes, I was filming outside in the shade, and sometimes, depending on what the light was doing, I didn't pop enough on my thumbnail. And at that point, my photo editing wasn't very good. I was learning how to do that for thumbnails. So I talked to my husband. He's like, you should wear the really bright outfit. That'll help bring you out even if you're in shadow. So that was why I originally started doing it in a lot of videos. But I actually really like this dress and I wear it a lot in real life as well. I'm gonna be sad when it finally dies on me because I haven't been able to find a good replacement. That's one of those one and done things. But yeah, I actually really like this dress. But yeah, that's a good example of a question I've gotten that I can't make a whole video about. You get a bunch of those, you're golden. Okay, so the next easy type of video to make is a faceless video. So basically, you've likely seen these a lot on YouTube. There are videos in which your face never shows up. It's all photos and videos and a voiceover, which if you get a cheap mic that's pretty decent, in step one, you'll have it. You can sit at your computer, you can do the voiceover, you know, read whatever your point is, whatever your video is about, and you can put the B-roll over. And like I said, I have that episode on B-roll you should check out. But yeah, these are very popular. I actually watch a number of faceless channels that I really like. Shout out to Weird History of Food. I've been watching that one forever. That one's really interesting, and they use a lot of different images. If you're interested in image accreditation and attribution too, they have different ways that they do that to give credit to people. Another channel I like is In Deep Geek. They do a lot of Lord of the Rings and various other things, and it's all art. He does a big screen at the end where he talks about where all the art comes from and what have you. But yeah, doesn't appear on screen. There's quite a number of these channels. Those are some of the good ones. There's still a certain amount of effort because you have to edit it together. You have to do your script and your voiceover. But as far as needing really expensive cameras or anything, nah, you can do it with a really cheap microphone and a bunch of B-roll. And another format that I've seen that's been growing in popularity is something called the walk and talk. I actually did a demonstration of it for another video I did on ways to vlog in public without being embarrassed. I can show you a clip of me doing it. So here's a cool technique called the walk and talk, and it is just what it sounds. You walk through an area as you're filming, and the neat thing about this is not only does it give you the dynamic background from the motion behind you, but if anything cringy happens or people are staring at you, they're also behind you, you're fleeing the scene. Kind of a neat technique. I've seen this a lot, especially I've seen a lot of older folks doing it, older YouTubers. They'll be out walking their dog or be out hiking around. They'll talk to the camera. It could be their cell phone, it could be a GoPro on a little creating potato stick. Really depends on the person, but they'll just be talking and going around. And it's nice because what it does is it kind of loosens them up so that they're not, oh my gosh, this is a camera. You know, I'm staring into a camera right now as I talk to you guys. I'm used to it now. It's like I'm talking to you guys, like I'm excited about it. But when I started, it was ooh. So talking to the camera while you're walking gives you something else to focus on, the walking and the scenery. It can help with the nerves. The other cool thing is that it creates a dynamic background. So it helps with the retention editing a little bit without any retention editing needing to happen. It kind of keeps people like, oh, what you gonna walk up next to, that kind of thing. It adds another layer. So the walk and talk can be very easy to produce and very dynamic all at once. Okay, so this one is a little bit dicey. These can be a little legally dicey. So you wanna make sure that you're on the right side of this, but reaction content can be really cool. And that's when you are watching something and you are commenting on it and making constructive additions to it. So I say it can be legally dicey because there were some court cases and some stuff back and forth where people were reacting to content and they weren't doing enough. So they might have a live stream and they're playing a whole movie and somebody's just sitting there like eating and not responding to it, like the Twitch streamer or whatever. And at that point, they're basically just airing somebody else's creative work with no addition. They're not talking, they're not reacting, they're not adding any value to that. And copyright law is like, that's no bueno. You don't want to do that. So there have been people who've gotten in trouble with reaction content. You actually want to react and you want to have some type of constructive input. One I can think of is the charismatic voice. She was an opera singer. She goes on screen and she watches various artists for the first time and she is like reacting and talking a lot. And she's always like reversing and talking about vocal technique and she's adding something substantive. And that's a very popular channel. It's a very well done channel. And as far as I know, she hasn't had any trouble. It's very easy to put together without a lot of tech. You've got talking head and you've got some kind of screen capture like the OBS. You're just combining things together. And the nice thing about those is that you don't have to script as much for them. You can just use your honest reaction. Those are quite easy to make. On the surface, like charismatic voice is a high production, very polished channel, but the actual format is very newbie friendly. Okay, here's another one. If we're talking about scripting and about the difficulty of coming up with outlines or scripts, maybe do a rant or a hot take where you're talking about something in the news. It was like, okay, I need to get this off my chest and just go for it. Those are great. Again, it's like a talking head, but in this case, you are off the cuff. You don't have to script, you don't have to edit. You're basically just have your raw emotional delivery. Those can be really good if you're a compelling host. They're very easy to kind of throw together if you just kind of line everything up. They're not technically difficult to do. So that's a thought too. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. And again, this is more creatively easy to make. I wanted to talk about things that are low tech and also creatively easy because I think both stump newer creators. Both are challenges. And that is recycling your older content. Now, you have to be careful about this on YouTube a little bit. You don't want to repost the exact same video over and over again. You need to change your video somewhat because otherwise YouTube will think you're spammy. It doesn't take much for it to be counted as a new video. And that said, you don't want to be doing it so you're just skirting past the algorithm and annoying actual human viewers that are watching it. That's no good either. But there are ways to cleverly reuse your own material. Let's say you've had a blog or a newsletter outside of YouTube. So for me, for example, I'm an author. I've written thousands of articles online, both for my own blog and for other people for paid work. I have also written several books. It's very easy for me to take something that I've written an article about, read my article before filming, sit down basically with a rough outline of vaguely what I said and just kind of talk about what I wrote the article about. That's repurposing my old content. I'm not sitting there necessarily reading it word for word, although depending on the script, I probably could, especially if I own the rights. It's tricky when it's for another magazine, for another publication, but for the ones on my blog, I totally could. But especially just to kind of distill to an outline and then talk about the outline, that's fair game. That's a lot easier than coming up with a completely new video from scratch. If you've done a lot of videos, another thing you could do is do like a mega edit where you take a whole bunch of your different videos and you just kind of edit together into one long video. That's a winning strategy. That's quite easy. YouTube doesn't mind that, and lots of big channels have done that. That's an easy way to generate some content, and it's not that hard. One of the most basic things you can do in a video editor. Okay, so we talked about that. One thing I found really interesting that works a lot better than I thought it would is covering news or an article in my niche. So I've done this especially a lot in the RV space, but this also is something I've done with Nerdonomic. I had an advice letter where somebody was mad because they were paying for their friends at a restaurant, and then the columnist gave really kind of dodgy advice. I was reading this article in the wild. It was just served to me on like Google Now or whatever. I was like, I should talk about this on the channel because this is whack. So I did. I actually had the article and I properly attributed, and I read the letter and the advice column, but I was commenting the whole way and giving my take on it. So that's kind of like reaction content, but it's taking it from one medium to another. So rather than reacting to a video, you're reacting to something that's written. So you have, your delivery of the material, you're reading it, you're reacting. That can be a lot different than a regular reaction video. And typically, as long as you actually just don't sit there and read it aloud with no commentary, which is garbage, as long as you contribute and you have a lot of opinions and you talk about it, yeah, that tends to be a lot more legally sound. The one downside to that is that sometimes it's pretty timely and it's not necessarily evergreen, but you can be thoughtful about what you pick and what you don't. Then finally, this is the weirdest genre of video. I don't know if I'll do this, but reading and reacting to comments, it's a very easy talking head to do. So at this point, you save a lot of mean or weird comments, put them in like a folder, you get enough, and you can sit there and read them on camera, and people get to see how you react to being insulted or ask really intrusive questions. And I tell you, it's popular. People really like them. It's one way to deal with mean comments and trolls and haters. I actually did a whole video on other ways that are just as effective, but this is a really good one for taking something that's junk and turning it into something good for your channel. It's a constructive way to deal with online hate, in my opinion. It's also a very easy, low-tech way to come up with a video. There's something to be said for really high production videos with drone shots and cameramen and all that good stuff, but it's a lot when you're new to all this. So these are tried and true. They're very simple and they absolutely work. Anyway, it's been great talking to you as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.